issues. We now move on to our next story, and the US Treasury Department's top sanctions official, John Hurley, will travel to the Middle East and Europe this week as the Trump administration seeks to increase pressure on Iran. Hurley, the Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, will visit Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Turkey and Lebanon in his first trip to the region since taking office. President Trump has restored his maximum pressure campaign on Iran, targeting its nuclear program and regional proxies. Hurley said he will work with partners to deny Tehran and its proxies financial access, block funding for violence and undermine instability. While in Israel, the UAE and Turkey, Hurley will discuss sanctions enforcement, money laundering and combating regional malign forces. Now joining us to discuss this, it's Dr. Hamid Reza Gholamzadeh. He is the director of Diplo House and he joins us live from the Iranian capital of Tehran. Thank you very much, Dr. Gholamzadeh, for joining us here on NewsX World. It's a pleasure to have you. The United States is sending its top sanctions official to West Asia to discuss renewed, quote-unquote, its maximum pressure campaign on Iran. From Tehran's standpoint, is this policy still effective, or has Tehran learned to circumvent it through Asia and, of course, Moscow?
Thank you very much, Thomas. You know, the mere fact that they are coming to the region and they need to discuss maximum pressure campaign with other partners in the region shows that they do not have the power to exert it against Iran. And the idea and the initiative failed in the first term of Trump administration in itself. And at that time, the situation was totally different from now. They had more options to put sanctions on Iran. And they admitted, a person like John Bolton admitted at the end of the first term of President Trump that the maximum pressure campaign failed and they could not bring Iran to its knees. So right now, after many years, they have no other options and there is no real impact, we can say, because whatever they want to do against Iran, they have already done. And Iran still is exporting its oil, and they have admitted during Trump's first administration, during Biden administration, and now in current administration, they have several times admitted that they cannot stop Iranian oil to be sold, especially to China. So what they are doing is just creating media hype and a campaign on media to show that they have the power to exert sanctions against Iran. But the reality is that the sanctions that they are imposing for the past several years have been just on the papers, and they don't have any extra pressure on Iranian side. So yeah, we have sanctions, we are suffering from some of them, but most of the recent ones are something that are just reimposing the sanctions or changing the names of the sanctions, or I don't know, imposing on sanctions on people who do not exist or on facilities and assets that do not exist. So it's more a political campaign rather than some economic, real on-the-ground actions against the Iranian economy.
Yes, and Dr. Gholamzadeh, Washington claims Iran continues to fund militant proxies across the region. How do you respond to that accusation, and what does Tehran consider legitimate regional influence versus what the US calls destabilizing activity?
What Iran is doing is supporting groups and parties that are actually indigenous to their nation. Like, for example, Hezbollah is a political party in Lebanon. Like, for example, Hashd Sha'bi is an official group in Iraq. But we have a country like the United States who is supporting a terrorist group in Syria, who has been and still is in its terrorist list. and they still support them. They meet with them, and they have receive him in the United Nations General Assembly. So that shows that who is supporting the terrorists. They are supporting terrorists in other parts of the world, and they are doing in our region, and they blame Iran and other countries against what is being done. So no, Iran is not supporting terrorist groups. Iran is not destabilizing the region for the people of the region. But of course, yes, Iran is supporting the stabilization of the region for outsiders like the United States, who are trying to actually benefit from the region, and they want to make it in of their own benefits and at the cost of the people's lives and wealth of the countries of the region. So no, Iran is supporting the countries in the region and has always promoted security within the region by the states and players in the region, not the outsiders.
Yes.
That's the same accusation that they have had for many others because their own interests are in danger.
Yes, and of course, Iran has endured sanctions from the West for years, yet its oil exports remain steady through alternative markets. Does that prove that the United States can no longer contain Iran economically?
Of course, it proves that. And moreover, it proves that the Americans are not the hegemons and they are not the superpower anymore. For the past several decades, I can say, or let's say at least for the past 2 decades, the United States has witnessed a decline in its power, and they cannot rule out the world anymore. So yes, they cannot impose any sanctions against Iran to cripple down Iran or to bring Iran to its knees. I personally remember at least 5 American presidents who said that they are imposing most crippling sanctions, quote unquote, most crippling sanctions against Iran, and Iran has never crippled out. So they cannot do that because the sanctions regimes and the mindset behind that has already failed. If it could be successful, it would be for 3 to 5 years maximum. But we have been under sanctions for 5 decades. For 50, nearly 50 years, we have been under American sanctions. So never sanction regimes would work like that. And the excessive use of sanctions against other countries has actually paved the ground for them to work with each other. Iran, Russia, Venezuela, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, many countries, Yemen, are countries that who can work together because of the American
Okay.
sanctions. And that is the reason that the sanctions are not able to defeat Iran or other countries.
Yeah, and finally, Dr. Gholamzadeh, of course, looking over the past year, the relationship between Washington and Tehran has been difficult to say the least. Do you see any realistic channel of communication still open between Iran and the United States?
If the Americans come to their minds and think correctly, yes, there are chances for that. Iran, believe it or not, like it or not, Iran is a power in the region who can influence not only the region but also further beyond. And the Americans need to realize this and recognize this fact. Something that President Obama wanted to do at the beginning of his presidential term. However, because of some unrest inside the country, they thought that there is going to be a change in the government in Iran, and they changed their rhetoric and their policy. But the reality is that if they understand and realize and recognize that Iran is a stable country and is an important player in the region, they can work with Iran, not play with Iran. They cannot dictate anything to Iran. Right now, they think that they can impose anything on Iran, they can impose their will, and they can dictate Iran what to do. And it's not like how it will work. Iran has learned to survive in this volatile region for the past 5 decades. And this region is always engulfed with attacks, wars, insecurity, instability.
Yes.
So when a country survives such a situation, it can survive anything else. So the Americans need to realize this. And if they realize that, they can sit at the table logically and respectfully, and then there are grounds for cooperation. However, with this administration in the White House, I would not, let's say, it would happen anytime soon.
Okay, Dr. Hamid Reza Gholamzadeh, thank you very much for taking the time and joining us here on the program. Pleasure to have you. We now move